Hey, it's episode 689, and we're going to talk this week about recalibrating your efforts. I know that's a big word. We're going to explain what it means and a whole lot more in today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information. Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Did that happen twice for a little bit?
Did what happen twice?
Did the intro start and then restart?
No, I'm not sure it started. I don't know what there was a significant lag.
Okay.
You were clearly busy doing some other things, and it had you not.
Okay, well, it's one of those days. It's a Monday. The system's slow to get started.
Yes, the system was probably up late watching football or something like that last night.
Or baseball.
Or baseball.
Fair. Yeah, they were both last night.
Yes.
Love this time of year.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's no doubt.
Baseball, football, golf, NASCAR. You got it all going on.
Yes, indeed. And you got today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast each morning, coming to you to have a conversation around various topics. As we discuss that topic, we encourage you to share your thoughts and ideas because we know that'll have an impact on the show and add some value to others. So if you happen to be watching us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or
LinkedIn Live, baby. You snuck that one in this morning.
Changed up the script just a little. We welcome you to share your comments, thoughts, and ideas, as we know it'll add value to our conversation. And at the end of the conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote. That thing that we hope will help you figure out how to take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. Might be for today, or might be somewhere else down the road. So please feel free to also share your antidote as we move through the conversation. All right. Before we do that, though, we start every show with celebrations. Bob, do you want to share why we celebrate and then maybe share your celebration?
I would love to, Tom. Thank you for the opportunity. We celebrate to get ourselves in the right headspace to move forward. So by celebrating, we take a second to show gratitude, to be grateful for something, or to recognize some step we took, and not the results, but the action we took. So for instance, yesterday I was at church, and there's a gentleman there that I talk to every week. He sits in front of me. We have we don't have assigned seats, but you know how humans are. We assign seats.
And church.
In church. And so he sits in front of me, and he stood up to go, and I hadn't greeted him yet. And he stood up to go get a cup of coffee. And I saw him, and I said, "Hey, John." And I stood up to greet him. And he said to me, "Do you know, I talk to probably 150, 200 guys a week, and you're the only guy who stands up when you greet me." And I like the fact that that's a little thing that I just do out of habit, just like calling people sir and ma'am, something I was raised as a child to do. And it's great that he recognized it and pointed out to me that it had a value to him, because it's something that I do. It's reactive, but it's nice to hear that it actually made an impression on someone. So I appreciate John sharing that with me.
Yeah, I like that. I kind of feel that way. Like I always hold the door for people.
Yes.
No matter what. And, some people that just walk on through, which is fine. I don't care. I don't do it to be recognized. And then there are other people who are almost like shocked and surprised that anybody would hold the door for them. And I think that's the part I enjoy the most, is sort of the surprise around that.
Yes. So what are you celebrating?
So I could celebrate the Bills win over the Chiefs. I could do that.
You could.
I probably am a little bit by mentioning it. And yet I am going to celebrate a fun weekend of lacrosse. Had a lot of lacrosse this weekend.
Officiating
women's lacrosse, yes. And some watching. And it was great. We had a little international event that they asked me to assign, one of my other jobs in there. And so we had 2 officials come down from Canada. We had an official from Florida come up who is Argentinian
Okay.
by birth, but lives in the States. And so he has dual residency and is also an official for Argentina. And it was just fun. It's always interesting. There's something about the international play that I enjoy. Maybe I just enjoy meeting other officials from other countries and just seeing the nuances of how they do things and, how we do it here in the States. And it was an opportunity to analyze a little bit what I was doing and how I was doing compared to how others do it. And it was fun. And then yesterday I got to do some higher level college lacrosse play day. So it was
okay. Well, you got to be tired. Your legs must be sore today.
A little bit, which is good and means I still got to get to the gym. Not quite ready for the spring season. So
you got a while.
I did.
Yeah, a couple months.
Although there's a lot going on in the next 3 or 4 months that could derail those efforts pretty quickly.
Isn't that how life is?
It is how life is. Yes, indeed. All right.
I see Steven's with us this morning and he is heading to the gym. So good luck with that, Steven, as we talk about exercise and being in condition by April. Looks like Steven's up early and out heading on his way.
Out heading?
Out.
Or heading out?
Heading out, yes, sorry.
Okay. Or out heading to the gym, I guess. Either way.
That's it.
All right, everyone. So we have been talking a little bit about our efforts. Last week, we spent a good amount of time talking about analyzing our efforts. And
assessing them, I believe.
Sorry, you are correct. Assessing.
Big difference, right?
There is a big difference, yes. Assessing our efforts. And, anytime you assess them, you have the opportunity to recalibrate. And we're going to talk today, as Bob mentioned at the opening, about recalibrating our efforts. And so I think I'm going to ask you, Bob, if you'd like to kick things off.
You don't know what it means, do you? This is one I wrote. No, I'm kidding. I know you know what it means.
Do you want me to go first? I'm more than happy to go first.
No, I'll go first. I'm happy. It's easier.
You sure about that? I don't want you to think that I don't know what it means.
No, I know you know. You know this stuff all so well. So when we talk about recalibrating our efforts, we're really talking about taking that assessment that we did and turning it into something. And when we recalibrate, we have a couple of options. We can keep doing what we're doing, or we can make changes. And recalibrating is really that moment or moments where you're thinking through that and deciding how to proceed. And I think it's something that a lot of us do without thinking about it often. But when I find that when I'm conscious about it and very intentional about it, I often see things that I wouldn't see otherwise. So much of our recalibration is just, like driving your car. If you remember, I was with someone who was learning to drive last year, and they were very concerned, and they were holding the wheel with both hands really tightly and looking at everything. And I was thinking about later that day, because I was driving and I had one hand on the wheel and I'm playing with the radio and I'm, doing all kinds of things, not focused on that. And so I recalibrate when I'm driving very quickly and without much forethought because it's instinct. A lot of people, when they learn to drive, have to recalibrate and they have to literally think about, okay, I'm making a left turn in 500 yards. I need to hit the turn signal. I need to start looking. I need to start slowing down. That's all instinct for me. And I think while with driving, it's probably better that it becomes instinct. I think in business and in leadership, it's better to have some intention around some of these things. And I think that's one of the things that I've really tried to incorporate into more in my day is being intentional about where I recalibrate, not just blowing with the wind. I've said before, I like shiny objects, new things, fun things, great technology. Still want to get that bot in there, Tom. I know I haven't mentioned it in probably a year.
Shoo, wow.
Going old school. Yeah, there are people going, oh man, I thought he was off that. But it's not the time. And recalibrating, there may be a day where we have a discussion. It's like, the bot would be really great for this. And that's a recalibration. And we recalibrate all the time in business, in life, in our personal lives. I had to recalibrate my morning. I had a coaching call with someone that could only do it at 5 a.m. So I had to recalibrate being up late last night, setting the alarm this morning, setting a secondary alarm this morning in case the primary alarm didn't go off because it was possible. And even my cat today is recalibrating because he does not like being up at 5 a.m. And once he was up at 5 a.m., now it's dark, which means it's playtime to him. So we're always recalibrating. But what I would say is that what we're trying to really focus on this week is what it means is, what is the goal of the recalibration? And how can we better incorporate that into what we're doing? What do you think about that, Tom?
There's a lot to unpack there.
Good.
I think, when I think about recalibrating, I think it's a little different. I think maybe not. You can assess that as you will. I think that to me, it's fine tuning.
Okay.
When I think of recalibrating, I think of, okay, there's some finely tuned instrument. Maybe it's like if you look at like a piano or like your skill set. Here's my skill set. I was thinking, as you were talking, I was thinking about it as related to lacrosse, is that, there are a lot of things going on around us that impact what we do. And while sometimes we're in a certain space and it all works out great with everything around us. And other times we just need to move a hair left or a hair right. That's what I was really thinking about was, when I'm in a certain position on the field as an official, there's all this stuff going on around. And, there are guidelines on how you should position yourself wherever you are, wherever the ball is. And okay, that makes sense until something different happens that you weren't expecting. And you have to make some minor modifications. So for me at that point, I get to see through all the players so that I can find the ball and see what's happening. And I think that, so often whenever we analyze what we're doing, it's easy to say, well, that didn't go as planned and I need to make wholesale changes. And I think so often, a lot of times, it's just these minute little shifts that, take us from, we were in a space where things were going along and we got results. And there's an opportunity to see, well, if I make a small little adjustment, how might that impact the results that we get and the things that then happen based on other things going on around us? We were working on some ads that we were talking about doing. And anybody who does any sort of marketing thinks about, okay, well, there's a lot to an ad. There's an image, there's the language, there's the placement. All of those things could have an impact on the results that you see from those ads. And even a tiny modification, you change the image a little bit, change a word, make a minor little difference as well. We were sending that ad to the local newspaper, which was, it got whatever it got the results it got. And then when we make a little shift and we say, okay, we're going to add it to the radio, or in the radio, we need to change a little differently because now people can't see it. They only are hearing it. And I think so often we feel like anytime we analyze, we have to make wholesale changes. And I think there's the opportunity to make sort of like minor micro changes to better understand, instead of just like jumping off the wagon. Like, okay, I'm headed down this path and I'm headed towards my goals and I think I've got it down. It's not really going exactly the way I thought. And some people will take that, well, that means I got to scrap the whole thing and start all over. And I think others have the opportunity, we have the opportunity to look at how do we make these minor shifts that might have a more significant impact than we thought.
And I like that, Tom. I also like the idea that if we're making minor shifts, then we can assess as we go the effect rather than making a wholesale shift. If you get rid of your best lacrosse player on your lacrosse team and you bring someone else in, it's hard to figure out what happened. Did someone take over his role? Did the new person take over? There's a lot going on there. And I think I like your idea of just making minor shifts just to figure out how to make an incremental move forward, rather than, well, I'm way off my sales goal for the year, so I'm just going to get rid of my whole sales team and start over. We're going to throw the manual away. We're going to throw all the advertising away. We're not even going to use the contact system. We're going to go out completely flatline, start all over again. And you see that in business.
Sure.
The other thing I think you see is, I had a coach 4 or 5 years ago who pointed out to me that I love to start doing something well in marketing and then abandon it for something else. And twice she caught me. She's like, hey, I'm going to start doing this. She's like, why? That works really well. Why would you do this? And it's like, well, because this is fun and new and neat. And she said, why are you recalibrating when it's working? And that's part of recalibrating, is also recognizing when things are working the way they should be.
Sure. Well, and I think there's also they may be working, and I think sometimes we think they're not working enough.
Right.
That there's everyone looks at results differently, and there's kind of where you want to be and where you'd really like to be. People have those goals, and then they have those like audacious, wouldn't this be awesomely amazing if I hit them?
Yes.
And so those things get stuck in our head. And rather than seeing the value of what we are doing, we're like, or I'm getting really good results. Maybe if I make some minor little tweak, I can get awesomely amazing results. And rather than just making some minor little change that allows it just to keep going and maybe adding, or just anytime we modify things, we have an opportunity to get different results. And, I think it's an interesting thought of, and then I guess I won't talk about a challenge, because I'm sure that's coming up as one of our topics this week.
I think you're right.
Yes. So I think it's, it's just an opportunity for us to make some minor modifications rather than just going all out and throwing out everything to start all over, because I don't even really know how many times we do that. Because even though we might throw out the entire team, we might throw out the playbook, if we're still the leader, we already have that knowledge, experience, and perspective in our head. And likely there are going to be pieces that we bring back as a part of what we believe happened to go as we thought, and then start again.
So, Tom, we're to that point, I think. The one thing, let me start with mine. Mine is, I like your idea that it's making smaller changes rather than wholesale changes, and that those smaller changes can lead to a better understanding going forward. To me, that's what it really means. Our real meaning here is, how do we take what we've done or what we haven't done in the past and apply it so that we can achieve whatever we're trying to in the future?
I like that.
How about you?
Mine is going to be, I think that, when I think about recalibrating and what it means, I think it means that there's an understanding that things around us change, and that as they change, there's a pretty good likelihood that we may have to make some minor modifications. Again, as people's, if your constituents see that there's something happens, or there's something happening in the world that impacts their knowledge, experience, and perspective, and now they look at your product, service differently, there's a pretty good chance that you may have to make some adjustments as well. And I think that's really, to me, what it thinks about is that things are going to change and our surroundings change. And if we just stand still, we're not likely to get where we want to go. That we have to make some minor adjustments to adjust for all the other things going on around us to try to get to where we want to be.
And we're not in a vacuum as well, right?
I'm sorry.
We change as well in that. You talked about all the external things changing. If you read a book over the weekend and there's a story in there that you can apply to your work, suddenly you might recalibrate and go, oh, wow, I didn't realize this. Or you have an idea while you're running, or, you go to, I was talking to someone over the weekend about Chick-fil-A, and he was saying he loves to analyze Chick-fil-A's process. Like he's frustrated when he goes through a line really quickly because he'd rather see it slowly and figure out all the steps in it because he's trying to build a process. And so we have all that data coming in to us, and that's part of what leads to the recalibration as well.
There's an opportunity to it, right?
Correct.
Sometimes people choose not to do that.
Right.
So we'll see. All right. If you have your one thing that you'd like to share, please feel free to do it. We know that if you're listening to the podcast, unfortunately, there isn't a space yet for you to comment and share your thoughts and ideas with your podcast, except for, as Bob always says, sharing it with your neighbor next to you, whether you are in your car or on your treadmill at the gym, like Stephen. And so we've provided opportunity and a space for you to do that. If you're a LinkedIn person, you can go to our Renegade Success Network for Leaders group and share your thoughts and ideas and one thing there. If you happen to be a Facebook person and you're in our Ring of Renegades, or you want to go, you can go to our Ring of Renegades and share your one thing there as well. Because we'll be talking about this topic all week in both of those groups and many other things. So if you're a member, we look forward to seeing you inside of there. If you're not yet, it's easy to do. Just go to both of those platforms and search for those things, or shoot Bob and I a message, and we'll help get you into one of those groups so that you can find a community of people who are looking forward to talking about things that make a difference. And maybe the value you find in there allows you to recalibrate your efforts just a little bit. That might make things different. Actually, I know they will make things different. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us. We look forward to seeing you inside of those groups. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time, for our next episode of Today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you. It's worth it.
Even if it takes a little recalibration.
There you go.
All right, everyone, go out and make it a great day. We will see you soon. Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.